Alrighty guys, Isaac here, bringing us another Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video. This is going to be a guide regarding Season 40, right? And before we continue right here, as always, there will always be timestamps in the description down below. That way you guys can go ahead and get to where you need to go. So starting off, Season 39, right? Last season, we finished at 3,870, which I was actually very happy with since we did use a unit that was an A tier, right? Because we did use regeneration right here. We did have this Janemba who wasn't necessarily, he wasn't a Z tier unit and stuff like that, right? And we brought him in a lot. And so I feel like that was a very comfortable score for us. We only died one time, and I feel like the team overall was very like self-sufficient. But the first thing that we're going to be getting into is our pathing right here, right? So this is our general pathing. Of course, this may change with the actual walkthrough. This is kind of just like a sneak peek at it, right? Because there's always going to be like different circumstances, or if I have a super attack, or you know, just a bunch of different variables right here, right? But for the most part, this is what we're going to be rocking with. I always try, especially with the changes and stuff like that, I always try to make the easiest path possible, right? There's going to be a couple of new teams once again this season, but as usual, I will be doing my best to avoid all of the ultra fights, right? There is only one that we encounter on the path, and even then, it is only a 3/5 stage, thankfully. So now let's go ahead and move on to the tips and tricks, and I'm just kind of like make this short and sweet, right? So the Gohan stages, this is a stage we always talk about. Gohan, make sure to kill the Kid Gohan first, or at least in the first turn. If it is possible to take out Beerus and Kid Gohan in the first turn, then go for that, because Beerus will stun you at the start of turn 2. Remember, Kid Gohan does have a really low key restore speed, meaning he will more than likely attack last. So next we have this Android 13 fight, right, where it's kind of like a themed fight. They're all from the Android 13 movie. There's nothing really much to worry about here, but we do see this fight a couple of times. This green Goku notably has the gimmick where he can mitigate a strike or blast card. Like if you've seen him in PvP, his green card will do the same effect. That's essentially what he does right there, right? And then also with Super 13, or well, not Super 13, with regular Android the Trucker 13, you want to kill him before the other droids because he does get a buff per defeated Android member. So now we have this new LOE team right? So first and foremost, Frost, that EX Frost, you may think that you don't have to worry about him at all, but he is kind of a sleeper unit here, right? And ideally, you kind of do want to kill him in turn 1 because he can inflict can't attack at the start of turn 2. This fight is annoying though, because you also want to kill LF Full Power Frieza on turn 1 due to him inflicting a debuff to your entire team at the start of the second turn. Right, so it's like you have to choose between the greater evil. Like, do you want to just eat that debuff, or do you want to eat the can't attack? Right, so you kind of have to, if you can kill both of them in the first turn, obviously that's going to be ideal right there, right? But other than that, Mecha Frieza has a couple of buffs against Super Saiyans. Thankfully, we don't really rock with the Super Saiyans, right? We're not really concerned with that. Chilled and Pod Frieza do provide support for the team, so they also may be units that you want to prioritize after those initial two of Frost and Full Power Frieza. So now we have this mono red team, right? Obviously, tag droids are going to be a massive issue here. So I'd say get them out of the way ASAP, right? Because they're usually kind of beefy, and they're also usually doing a lot of damage as well, right? But also be aware of Super 13, as he does get a guaranteed super attack at the start of turn 3. So next we have the Saga. This Saga's from the movies team, right? This pops up a couple times on our pathing, and I would say that Gamma 2 is your biggest annoyance here, since he is the healer and just in general the most relevant unit here, right? He has the most updated kit. So we also have this stage, which we are very, very familiar with. The Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku will always get targeted first, as he will super attack at the start of turn 2. Since he does have a really high key restore speed, he's very problematic, right? After him, Frieza is the next potential threat, and I say potential because he can only get his guaranteed super attack if he is hit with a blast attack. So I usually do swap from blast-based strategies to strike-based strategies to make this a bit easier on myself. And the way to do this, I always show this, right? That way you guys can go ahead and be informed, is you click on whatever character that you're going to be swapping from blast to strike. You see their little avatar right here in the bottom left, and you see where it has like the little blast icon, right? You just tap that little blast icon, and it'll ask you to choose your attack strategy. From there, you will simply go ahead and choose on the strike. And once you are done with those stages, you can go ahead and swap to strike and switch it back to blast, and just as long as you hit confirm, you'll be all good. So the next one is the Ultra stage, the Ultra Broly stage. This is the only Ultra unit we will be fighting. Thankfully, this is only a 3/5 stage, but there are a lot of high priority targets here, right? Because that Ultra Broly will stun you at the start of turn 2, and then after that, Mai will stun you at the end of turn 2, and then Super 13 will super you at the start of turn 3. So that's kind of like a wicked sequence, right? So if you have the ability to do so, I would say if you can, try to get Broly out of the way first. Try, right? Emphasis on try. I've never fought him before, so I'm not going to know how exactly beefy he's going to. I imagine he's going to be very beefy, so it's going to be very difficult. If you can build up a super attack specifically for this fight, then I would try to advise that. But if you can get Broly out of the way first, and then as long as you can kill Mai and Super 13, you honestly, the strategy here might just be to eat the stun from Mai and just go straight for Broly and then Super 13 and then go for the droids, right? Because you might not be able to get the full like optimized sequence, but it is a 3/5 stage, so you actually, just depending on what units you're running, depending on how much super attacks you're going to have by the time you get to the stage, it is entirely possible to just go for the optimal lineup. So we also have this PyCon fight, right? And the reason why I call it the PyCon fight is because you're going to want to target PyCon first, as he will get a super on turn 3. After that, the rest of the units don't really pose much of a threat to you. So next we have this kid stage where you do have to target Goten. For instance, he will super at the start of turn 2, but once you kill him, you are going to be triggering the Kid Gohan's passive, in which he will get 100% to a special move gauge. So right after killing Goten, you're going to have to deal with that Gohan. Remember, he does have a really low key restore speed, so I think it is entirely possible to get through the Goten and then get through the Gohan. Maybe not on turn 1, but maybe if you stall out your attacks for that first turn, you kill Goten at the start of turn 2, and then you finish off the Gohan as well. I think that's going to be optimal for you. It is a 5/5 stage, so I do imagine some of these units will be a little bit tanky. This is going to be annoying too, in the fact that just because this Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku, he will stun you right off rip, and there's nothing you can do about that. And lastly, we do have this Vegeta family fight that we did come across last season, right? What I found worked for me was just simply targeting the cross-armed Vegeta, well, the God Vegeta, right? The Super Saiyan God Vegeta first, and then the Death Buff Vegeta last. The rest of them kind of just fall pretty easily, but I do recommend going for the support after getting that the God Vegeta out of the way, right? Whether you go for this baby Vegeta or you go for the GT Vegeta. Alright, so this is the team that we will be using right here, right? I'm going to be using girls, and obviously we have it on the right hand side. We have the homie Battle Amore sitting at rank 12 right now, rocking the girls as he usually does, right? He's pretty committed to this team and stuff like that, right? But you could see Blue Kale still being incredibly important to this roster, right? She really doesn't move from this roster, and even though she's not even a Z tier unit, right? You can see I did pick her up from S tier right here, even though majority of the lineup is Z tiers. This isn't really going to affect your score at all, right? Because like I said before, look at Battle Amore's rank. He's at rank 12 right here. I don't even care about getting into the top 100. Obviously, the main goal is always just to receive that 1000 CC, right? That's the biggest importance of just even engaging in ToP. But Kale is the healer of the team. That's why she's so important. You also have Blue Fasha here, who, even though she only heals Team Bardock in range, which meaning that she's only going to be healing herself on this team, on a Blast Arts hit, she inflicts can't attack for 1 turn. So utility wise, she is still amazing. The only thing about this that sucks is because both of those units you may have low stars on, right? Because these aren't necessarily EX units that have been in the game for a very long time, right? As you can see right here, my Kale's only 4 stars, my Fasha is only at 6 stars. You guys may even have less stars than that, right? For Kale though, for her being at 4 stars, I've used this Kale before at 4 stars, and she has done great. Which brings me to my next point, that even if you are at a very low amount of stars, please just make sure that you are working on the friendship rank right here. That's something that I need to go ahead and take my own advice on, right? Because the friendship rank of my Kale is only at friendship level 2. Right, if I get that to 10, I'm going to be increasing her overall stats. There is only 2 efficient ways to increase your friendship rank in the game right now, which is doing the Let's Fight stages every single day. There's 3 of them, right, that you guys can go. They're pretty easy to do. And then also farming the story mode stage. I believe it is part 6, book 1 of chapter 8, where you can continually just fight against the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? But that method is very tedious. You can just slowly grind it out by doing the Let's Fight stages. With this team too specifically, I always get asked the same question of who do I use if I do not have the 1000 day Bulma, right? To which I'm going to go ahead and just simply answer you. There's not really a great replacement for her since she does provide like support and stuff like that and a cover change, but I would just go into S tier and pick up the Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla. If you have her Zenkai'd, I think you do need her at a Zenkai level, right? But she's technically a free to play Zenkai as her Zenkai power can be found in the USTR shop. Alright, so next we have Rival Universe, which is actually very similar to the girls roster, right? Just a couple of minor changes. Alright, so this right here on the right hand side is the rank 2 player rocking the Rival Universe team, but without the blue Kale, which is insane to me, honestly, right? Because this is an all Z tier team that he is rocking, right? You have good debuffs and support, but the biggest issue for me here specifically is Topo and Dispo. Right, so you can see right here, those units for me are low stars. I only have them at 5 stars each, and some of you may have the same issue. But if you are determined to run this team, I do advise just simply adding Blue Kale to the roster, since she is the healer of the team and can easily be found in S tier. But I think the gimmick of this team right here, why they could actually pump out some really good damage, is this Topo support is actually pretty solid right here, right? He does give damage inflicted for Allied Tag Rival Universe for 1 turn, as well as 20% to Allied Tag Rival Universe critical rate for 1 turn. This goes hand in hand with this green Dispo right here, where he does buff his own critical rate as well as his own critical damage. So the next team we're going to be taking a look at is the Hera clan / Sagas from the movies, right? This is the team being used by the current #1 player, and this has been used in a previous season. This is kind of just like a mutation of it, right? I think this is still a very niche team, and I've said that before, but if I were to replace any unit here, I might just go ahead and dip into S tier and pick up Purple Bojack. Right, because he's just chilling right there. You're getting so much like Hera clan buffs and stuff like that from the Z abilities from the EX Hera clan members. I think he actually does provide a lot of value for the team, right? Because he does have the guaranteed super attack, plus he also can heal himself. I think it's very noteworthy of me to say that I've seen people use Red Pycon on this team right here too, right? Due to him having the guaranteed super attack while also being a Z tier. This is a strat that we have seen before with success, right? So if you were to use the Purple Bojack and the Red Pycon here on the same team, you're getting 2 super attacks. Right, you're getting 1 on turn 2, you're getting 1 on turn 3, and you also have this other little combination that I'm liking right here a lot is with this Stowser. I only have him at 2 stars, so he probably wouldn't do too great, but if you guys do have this combination, maybe consider using it right here, right? Because he does, obviously he wants to be right next to a cooler character, so ideally I would have him right here, cooler right here, right? But he does want to be right next to a cooler character. If he does have that cooler character, he's going to be giving 70% to damage inflicted, minus 30% to damage received, 80 to key recovery, 20% to own special move damage, as well as 15% to special move gauge that activates 1 time. He also provides the debuffs and stuff like that, right? So he's going to go hand in hand with this green cooler right below him, and they're going to be attacking pretty like close to each other due to having pretty similar key restore speeds, right? This guy doesn't really do anything too special, but he can like inflict bleed. He does have some sort of debuffs available to him as well, right? And he's a sparking unit that's in Z tier, which people do find that very valuable. Alright, so next we have Frieza Force. So this is actually kind of like a sleeper team to me. It's surprising to me that this team is doing well, but I guess it does make sense because a lot of these units, specifically the Ginyu Force units, have buffs reliant on having multiple Frieza Force units, right? Like this one right here, start of turn, per allied tag Frieza Force, you get 5% to strike damage inflicted for 1 turn, plus 15 to key recovery for 1 turn, 5% to special move gauge charge rate for 1 turn. So they really can't work without each other. I would still kind of be skeptical about this team if you do plan on running it. Make sure you are building up your friendship rank. Alright, so lastly we do have Team Bardock with some random Saiyans thrown in the mix as well. Easily the best unit here in my opinion is still this blue Fasha, right? We've already kind of like talked about her a little bit in the other teams. She does have that heal specifically for Team Bardock in range by 3%, as well as giving 50 to key recovery. I really do like that a lot, right? She just has those supportive capabilities, including the can't attack. I would honestly go as far as to say don't even run this team if you don't possess her, right? Nappa is also good here though. I really do. I would say I value Nappa right next to Fasha because he has a board-wide debuff and he's in S tier. Right, he's in S tier, which is still very solid. I have even seen people using this team with this EX Blue Baby Vegeta, which doesn't seem like a bad idea to me, right? You're going to still get the Saiyan buff right here, right? Because he still buffs Saiyan base blast attack and defense. He also has debuffs for the entire enemy team that afflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 10% to blast damage received. This team is a bit flexible, but I still believe you revolve around that blue fascia. The reason why I do say it's flexible because you can still go into S tier and take a look at all these Saiyans in here as well, right? Because I've also even seen this Vegeta getting some playtime, even if he's primarily on the bench and stuff like that, right? If you have him at a Zenkai level, he's actually pretty solid right here, right? Because he, at the start of the third turn, as long as his own health is 40% is higher, he will restore his health by 2% and get 50% to special move gauge. So you kind of can just like poop out those blue cards and stuff like that with him, which is pretty nice. Alright, now for the final segment is obviously it's always going to be the new characters, right? So we're going to take a look at this new Kid Goku. Please do not judge me for not actually having him. I just haven't been able to play the game as much as I wanted to. So we do have him. We're going to max him out right here. Friendship rank 1. Key restore speed is pretty rough. Right, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world because this can be supplemented by friendship rank, but at 2,331, I would like to see it a little bit higher. He doesn't have an ultimate or anything like that. At the start of the battle, he gets 60% to damage inflicted, minus 20% to damage received, and a plus 70 to key recovery. Okay, so he's kind of saving himself in his own kit. At the start of the turn, if there are at least 4 other allied tag GT remaining members, 25% to a blast damage inflicted for 1 turn and plus 20 to key recovery. Okay, so the key recovery kind of like solves itself a little bit right there, right? He also has the second ability, right? Start of the second turn, plus 15% to damage inflicted, plus 30 to key recovery. Again, he's kind of like supplementing that key recovery right there. He also has a multi-target effect where he inflicts enemies in range with attribute downgrade, plus 10% to damage received for 2 turns, and plus 25% to own next blast arts damage inflicted. I would have preferred if it was just the full board right here. It would have been a lot better, a lot more valuable, but having 2 walls I suppose is fine, right? And finally at the start of the 4th turn, multi-target, he inflicts enemies in range with attribute downgrade plus 10% to damage received for 1 turn and another 25% to next blast arts damage received. So I'm assuming that those stack, right? If those stack, then that's pretty great. And so finally, not necessarily a new character, but a new Zenkai, we do have the baby Vegeta Zenkai right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at him. I do have him at Friendship Break 7. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that even if the Zenkai kit isn't good, this guy was already amazing in ToP. So I imagine he's still going to be pretty damn great regardless, right? So at Friendship rank 7, he's sitting at 2,566 key restore speed, which is pretty good. He just has the regular blue card. And so let's see if there's anything that really changed right here, right? He gets 50% to damage inflicted. At the end of the turn, allied tag GT or tag regeneration in range, restores health by 3%, plus 15% to damage inflicted for 1 turn, and plus 30% to health restoration for 2 turns. Is that the same? I don't quite remember if that's necessarily the same. I would have to go and look at the pre-Zenkai kit, but either way, like, he's already amazing, right? And so he also has this one where he gets 15% to damage inflicted, cannot be cancelled, minus 20% to damage received, applies buff effect, nullifies attribute downgrade 3 times, and at the end of the 2nd turn, allied tag GT or tag regeneration, you cancel your attribute downgrades. So that, I think that one is new. Because yeah, so this is the regular kit right here, so that 40% got bumped up to 50%, and then they changed the 2nd passive right there, right? So nothing too major, but just him possessing Zenkai stats alone just makes it, even like the Zenkai ability and stuff like that, like he's going to be god tier. Alright, so that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding ToP or the season itself, please let me know in the comment section down below. And if you guys do enjoy the content, make sure you guys leave a like, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!